So a very good afternoon to parents and Upasana. Thank you so much for taking the time out and coming over to share insights, ideas about careers and options related to architecture. Um a very quick introduction about Upasana parents. Upasana is an architect, interior designer, proud Mumbaikar, and a firm believer in thoughtful design and integrity in her work. Apart from that, she is uh, somebody who's done her undergraduate degree from KRVIA University, Mumbai, and her postgraduate degree from Pratt Institute in New York. She's developed a deep appreciation for design's ability to transform spaces and lives during her education, and more importantly, inspired by the structured professionalism and transparent work culture with a stint in US. Upasana started her career in 2004 at Tricarico Architecture and Design, where she gained hands-on experience in retail interiors. Then she worked at STV Incorporated, expanding her skills in construction management, learning how to seamlessly turn designs into reality. She's also worked with Pelly Clark and Pelly Architects, who introduced her to innovation, world-class designs, and pushing up creative boundaries. She returned to Mumbai in 2011. She joined Perkins Eastman, honing her expertise in corporate architecture and connected back with her cultural roots of India. In 2015, she launched her own design firm in Mumbai by the name of UJ Designs. And over the last decade and more, her team and she have completed over 100 projects, crafting everything from warm personal homes to functional and inspiring workplaces. She's now expanding into retail, hospitality, laboratory interiors, and a lot of other new and exciting domains, focusing on delivering creative, impactful spaces tailored to the client's needs. A little bit of personal areas of Upasana. So outside of work, she's a passionate about traveling, she's passionate about photography, and she's passionate about the joys and challenges of being a mother to her Gen Z child. Her journey is shaped by the energy of Mumbai, the precision and ethics she admired in the US, and a love of creating meaningful designs for all of us. So thank you, Upasana. Thank you so much for taking your time out and coming to this particular session of focusing on architecture. So let's start with understanding what truly inspired you to pick up architecture as a stream of study, education, and later as a profession.
Uh, Thank you, Rahul, for such an interesting introduction, actually. And so when I was around in seventh, eighth grade, and of course I'm from Bombay, and in SSE we used to have these elementary and intermediate exams, and having a good skill at art, I got A's and all. So my father decided that my father's a CA. He decided that one of the daughters has to become an architect because from his native town, there was this one person. His name is Uttam C. Jain. He's one of the top architects in India currently. From at that time, he was the first person to become an architect and come back to the village. So when he became a CA, he was like, okay, one of his daughter needs to become an architect. I had no idea at that time. I'm talking in 1995, and at that period, I didn't even know what architecture was. But because my dad told me that I have to become an architect, I pursued it, and that's how my journey in architecture began.
Wonderful, wonderful. So if students usually come for counseling, they ask, how much money am I going to make?
Direct to the point.
Yeah. They want to retire early. I have students who want to press a button and make a lot of money. After the age of 30, they want to retire financially. They're very excited by the FIRE principle, which is financially independent, retire early. And some of them want to go and settle in the farthest corners of the world, including New Zealand and Norway, because if the World War breaks out, those countries are safe. So these are the kinds of conversations that kids are having around their choice of careers. But generally, they want to know, is there enough and more moolah to be made in this kind of a country?
Uh, I think, see, finances are very to each is, I mean, I don't know how to define finances, right? But in terms of, like, for example, an ROI on your degree, right? Let's put it that way. I would definitely say, okay, yes, there is a good return, and it will all depend also from which part of the country you're going to live in. If you're living in Mumbai, then the ROI is different from, for example, if you're living in Nasik or some other 2-tier, 3-tier cities. So, but in terms of uh, ROI, yes, you will definitely have return on your degree if that's how you look at it. But architecture is a it's a fine wine, if I would say. It is not something that you do in 1 year, 2 years. The projects sometimes even takes 5 years, 7 years to build. And many a times as a profession, somebody for you to do, even to trust you, it's after 40. I know for sure that after 40 is where people will start really recognize you as an architect, which you will need that kind of experience to start your own firm. While working for another firm, of course, it's is as if for any other place, right? You start junior, you start senior, you become a manager, you become a designer, you become a principal architect, and you become finally the partner. So that's the journey you will have when you're working in a corporate culture in an architectural firm. It's very similar to what you will have for any other corporate firms. Yes, it won't be as six-figure salary as you would have, but it's pretty much similar to that. But when you start your own firm, definitely there are lots of positives, and at the end of the day, there is this content that you are doing something fulfilling for the world, is building it, right? Architecture is what you see every day, everywhere. So that content is there. So yeah, I mean, 100% there is money in the industry, and especially in a place like India now, which the is in a phase of building, right? We are building. We are in the phase of building. So I think now, maybe 25 years ago, it was different. We had to be in another country to see all this. But when I'm now in India, there is huge growth. There is huge potential. There is huge potential for sustainable architecture. So definitely, yes, there is an ROI on your degree. If that's I can answer.
Sure, sure. So if I can summarize what you said simply, the initial years immediately after architecture is where you are laying the foundation, you're learning the ropes, and the real money start coming in big time, probably a little later in the career.
Yes,
Is what.
because it takes a while, no, to build a building. Like you cannot learn that while on a job, or somebody who is smart enough can start working in an architectural firm and then do the degree on the side, but it is not possible for.
Right.
But for interiors, it's possible because it's a little more easier. But architecture is almost like education is 5 years, is very, very intense. So, but if you can keep, summer internships and things like that, and then it's faster. But there is a learning process during the job. Like you will have to learn how to make a building. It won't happen while you are and that's for any profession, right? It's not just architecture. That's for any profession.
Fantastic. Superb. You also talked about Upasana. Action is in India for the next 20, 30 years. But the action is also about AI, where things are changing and changing fundamentally. Do you foresee, and this is a question that I get from a lot of parents, that is this career for my child AI proof 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 3 years from now? So what is your take on architecture and AI coming together over here?
So 25, 30 years ago, when we started architecture, we started with set square and T square. We used to draw it out. Okay, that was still third year. And then, of course, computer came for all of us in 1998, 1997 is when computers started. And we started learning AutoCAD, which is a drafting tool, which made drawings faster. So once that, it became much easier for the for us to do the drawings and then streamline the construction process. 2007 2008 is when I actually got introduced to 3D printing. Okay, so if you can see, by then 3D printing is today in 2007. Now today at 2025, there is a first project in India by Godrej, which is a completely 3D printed house they have made. They have actually built in Pune. I'll share some information on that, which is literally what we were introduced in the US in 2007, and now 2025 3D printing house has come. So when I see this, of course, it's great, it's amazing, but it will still take a while. So point is, that time the software tools were there to enhance and better our workflow, better way, to represent drawings, make better buildings, streamline construction processes. Same thing is what's going to happen with AI. We are using AI already. It's like there is no way. But construction, you will still need some, it is human. Like you will have to have a person to do this. So AI is no more, even 6-8 months ago, I think you and I have also had this conversation. I am not looking at AI as a threat. I am looking at it as a tool that will help us do things even much better, much faster, much efficient. And that is how I am looking at AI. But yes, you have to learn AI. There is now no two ways about it. Like how we had to learn computer, same thing is with AI. I would not take it as a threat, because in construction somebody still has to build, so, and somebody still has to design. So definitely AI is part of the game, but in a better way.
Sure. Thanks for that, Upasana. So at one end, we are talking of AI, which is going to automate things or do a lot of your tasks efficiently for you. At the other end is a fundamental question which a lot of students have. Okay, like I just did counseling right now, 10 to 12 p.m. with a child, and loves design, loves things, but doesn't really like drawing and art. So would you suggest that the person who's looking at architecture as a very potent option should be somebody who loves art or likes art or has a natural inclination towards it?
So if the basic definition of architecture is, it's a combination of art and science. You have to have knowledge of physics and maths as much. You need to have a good eye for aesthetic details. I don't think you need to be a great artist. You don't need to be an artist. You don't need to be great at sketching or drawing or fine arts is what. But you need to have a knack for aesthetics, because that is what architecture is all about. Like it's a combination. But if you say you need to be good at art, no, the answer is no. You don't need to. But yes, you need to be good at the technical stuff also at the same time. And architecture is actually more technical, and art is something, it'll come naturally.
Take the parents' questions in some time. I have a few questions which I have to, and I want to ask Upasana basis the questions that parents have asked at different times in career counseling. So these are generally the questions that parents want to know. So one of the students came back and said that if I do, let's say, a B.Arch, a bachelor's in architecture, or an M.Arch later on, master's in architecture if required, can he or she segue into careers in, let's say, a product or an interior or an urban design or something outside of architecture, which is from the core domain of architecture?
So today, if somebody, because I've been out in the industry and it's been, so today somebody comes to me also as an intern. During 5 years of architecture course, you will have a semester which will teach you product design, which will teach you interior design. There'll be a term for interior design. It will teach you landscape architecture. It will teach you about urban design. And of course, there is some people even take a pathway towards furniture design and even computer software for architects. So during your architecture program, all these are taught to you. Then as per your interest, I would say work 1 or 2 years. And then instead of going, if you're interested in architecture, then of course do masters in architecture. But otherwise, if you're interested, then there are these masters program for product design, masters in interior design, masters in, furniture design, any specialized degree that you want to do, master in urban design. So that should be your pathway to go into these particular stream. But a groundwork will be laid for you in at least in the undergrad degree that you will be doing.
Sure. Thanks for that. And what about another area, another domain where we talk of space architecture? There's a lot of excitement around different areas. So what about space architecture?
Space architecture is, of course, a completely new domain in architecture. But I think definitely I already see programs in NASA. It's already there, or existing for a long time now. I think almost 10 years. But of course, you need to have a very for space architecture, you will really need to be a certain physics. Physics, science has to be very, very strong. Maths has to be very, very strong for you. So definitely, I think it's the new something to look forward to. So if you're interested, definitely go for it. Go for it.
Great. Again, a question that usually comes for parents, that should I take the civil engineering route, a B.Tech civil engineering, or should I take a B.Arch route if I want to explore the space? So do you have some opinion on this, Upasana?
So civil engineering and architecture is a completely different field. So architecture is almost like it would be like a project management plus a designer, and a civil engineer is an architect will hire or work with a civil engineer because they will have a specific knowledge on materials. So if certain type of projects we have to build, you have to take. So a civil engineer will become a consultant for us. Structural engineer will become a consultant for us. Mechanical engineer, MEPs, electrical will become a consultant for us. But it's all depends on what you want to design buildings, then definitely architecture. But if you want to understand materials, understand soil, understand things like that, then it is civil engineering. So it's a very two different streams altogether. But yeah, of course, an architect requires a civil engineer in future when they are doing the project.
Great. Cool. And for the students here, or for parents also, to get some insights and inputs, what are the subjects typically that you would suggest them to focus on to understand architecture better? So we're looking at students, let's say from grade 5 to grade 12, who need to really think and go and decide, or rather from grade 8 to grade 12, grade 9 to grade 12. What are the subjects that you would suggest they can really focus on?
So of course, PCM, physics, chemistry, maths are a must to get into architecture college. And then there are these exams, right? Like you have NATA, current centralized exams that you need to focus on.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, if they can do some computer courses that will help in skill building, like basic understanding, which I think now all schools are having, like Tinkercad and AutoCAD. These softwares are now part and parcel of the education, at least in the IB. I don't know other boards, but so those. And then of course art history kind of helps you, even if you're not interested, but art is everywhere. It will help you gain an understanding in aesthetics part of architecture. So those are some programs that they can definitely look into it.
Sure. And you've done your bachelor's here, you've done your master's from Pratt, one of the highly coveted universities. Would you suggest the same structure for students, or have things changed according to you in the last 30 years, 25, 30 years? So essentially question is study in India, study abroad, what age, what grade, where to take a decision?
I think undergrad in India is still significantly good education, even if I having lived there almost for a decade and seeing it, and I now I'm seeing my child, and talk to many people, I still feel undergrad is a good, India is good for undergrad education. And then of course you can go, and anything in life in general, if you need to go out for a year or two, it depends, it just broadens and opens your mind. So if you can do it through your profession, great, nothing like it. But it's just that if you study abroad, then you get you get exposure to multiple cultures, you get exposure to way of working of different countries, and today it's a global world, you need to have those experiences. So having said that, yes, undergrad in India and do masters in the US is an ideal, I mean, at least for me, it works, and I think even today it works. It worked 25 years ago. I think even today it should work. But if you get a chance to go abroad after 12th, why not? Why not? It's some of the, especially Europe or, countries like that. Why not?
Sure. Great. So I have lots of questions to ask Upasana about how she handles the clients and how does a typical day look like, and a lot of other things. But I'll throw the entire option open for parents. If you would like to shoot any questions to Upasana, please feel free to ask anything. If not, then I'll continue with my questions. Yes, Tanishka, please go ahead. I'm sorry, I don't think you're very audible. Can you move closer to the microphone, please?
Can you hear me now?
The voice is slightly muffled. Upasana, are you able to hear what she's saying?
No,
Can
I
you hear
cannot
me
hear
now?
what she's saying. Yes,
Much
yes.
better,
I
much
wanted
better. Yeah.
to ask, what all exams did you give for architecture?
So in our times, there was a centralized entrance exam. It was not called as NATA. I don't even actually remember what the exams was called at that time. But we did have, after 12th, we did have entrance exams for University of Mumbai, which at that time there were only, literally I can count on my hand, there were 5 architecture universities in 1995. So in Bombay, I mean, not all over the country, but in Bombay, there were only 5 architecture colleges, and they were all associated with University of Mumbai, and we had a centralized exam for that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Right, Tanishka. So Tanishka, if just to extend your question, if you are looking at it today, then you have NATA, which is the mother exam. If you're looking at getting into the IITs, which have a program in architecture planning, then we've got JEE B.Arch Paper 2. And then we have AAT, which is the, again, architecture aptitude test for IITs. So, but NATA is what you predominantly prepare for, is the general trend, and then everything else falls into the course.
Thank you so much.
Right. Yeah. Arjun Puri has a question. If I have not taken art, can I still be an architect? So I think Upasana has answered this question differently, but Upasana, if you would want to take it again.
What is, I mean, at least in our times, there was nothing specific art as a subject. You did your SSC, the entrance exam that you prepared for, that itself was enough. And then of course you needed to do your PCM. You need to have good grades in physics, chemistry and maths. That was the criteria for getting into architecture college. So I don't know, today I think we all have these all the other kind of boards have, IB has visual arts and arts. So maybe of course it helps building a portfolio in art, but I personally don't think art also has such a wide thing to it. If you're talking about fine arts, that you have to be good at fine arts, then I don't think so. I don't think personally it's required, but I don't know, I might not be the right person to answer this question when it comes to giving for admissions in college today's time. Yeah.
So broadly speaking, art is not a necessary criteria, and it is neither a sufficient criteria. There are a lot of other areas. In terms of necessary criteria, we're looking at physics, chemistry, math in a lot of places. Physics and maths being the foundation on which the entire 5-year curriculum is going to be built, because there's going to be technical drawing and
Correct.
and concepts of a lot of physical ideas come into picture over there.
Correct.
Right. Next question is from Mr. Devang Dadbawala, talking of how many colleges. Okay. So it's a huge lottery list. And which
So,
ones are good? Yeah, Upasana, please go ahead.
so I can only, I really feel that I'm going back on 25 years, I really feel very senior, but so in Bombay, I think today somebody was telling me there are at least in Mumbai, there are at least 50 architecture colleges. I'm really coming from a time when there were only 5. People didn't even know what architecture was in my times. I can tell you this, like, no, at least in my surrounding, nobody knew what architecture was. It was a very, how today, biomedical and AI are these fancy, futuristic professions. Architecture was a futuristic profession at that time. I would say at least Kamala Raheja, KRVI, which is the college in Juhu where I come from. I think it still is one of the good colleges. But then you have plenty now in the neighborhood. I think NMIMS also has architecture college. Even today, I think CEPT in Ahmedabad is one of the top universities in India. So at least, and then there is SPA in Delhi. Bangalore, I'm not so much aware, but then I think today you have colleges everywhere. I mean, I get resumes from universities I've unheard of in Jaipur and Ajmer, and yeah.
Right. So, Mr. Devang, the list is very long, and there are a lot of options available. We could discuss it separately during career counselings for your specific requirements. Right. Okay. Binisha has a question. Should we be doing NATA preparation for 11th and 12th with junior college, or do the integrated option? Upasana, you want to take it, or do I answer this?
Yeah, this I think you will be a better.
Thanks for that. So generally speaking, any form of competitive examination that you're giving, particularly with a PCB or a PCM option, integrated works better for the student, for the child, simply because you're devoting your entire energies, focus on preparing for that entrance exam. Your scores in entrance exam are going to matter. Your 11th and 12th marks are, by the way, they are an eligibility criteria. Entrance exam is the criteria, the scores there is going to decide whether you get in or don't get in that particular university or college. So whether it is JEE, whether it is NEET, JEE to get into IITs, NEET to get into your AIMS and KEM and all the medical colleges, or for that matter, NATA or anything else, if you have the option of integrated, then you potentially also open up the options of getting into IITs or NITs and other universities, which are doing a good job on the architecture side of things also. Yes. Any other questions from any other parents, any other students here? Otherwise, I'll continue. I have lots to ask Upasana. Anyone else wants to shoot? Okay. So till the next question comes in, Upasana. Sure, Vinisha. What is your typical day like? How do you go around with your work? How do you manage clients? We've heard stories of clients throwing tantrums. Okay, it seems to have touched a chord there. So how is your day like? How do you negotiate workers, contractors? Please throw some light on
that. I mean, it's a lot of things that we do. In a day, we don't do everything together. Sometimes you have client meetings, sometimes you have to go to the site. But a typical day is in terms of conflicts, negotiation, all you learn during the job. But yes, in certainly our profession, you got to understand that maybe in other degrees, you're dealing with, if I would say, white collar most of the time. Here you have to also deal with, I would not want to call it a labor, but the person who actually builds, does execute your site. So when it comes to that, one thing I really would like to now tell people is to have understanding of their language, because
Hmm.
we all are educated in English, and even though we all know our native language, there is a language barrier that comes in that communication gap. Sometimes you're not able to tell them exactly, even if there are drawings and even if everything is there, but when they're executing, if you have that uh, understanding of how to explain it to them in that particular language, it just makes your life easier. So that is one thing definitely I would like to say, that uh, understand the language, the local language, and try and learn that or explain it, that it just becomes easier. That is one thing. Typical day, we wake up, we send our kids to school, work out, go to office. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, we try to keep it in office, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, we keep it for sites. Sites, because everything, even just regular visits to each project makes it you need to go to site. So in architecture, any whether you are a corporate firm, whether you are a smaller firm, whether you are a mid-sized firm, site visits are very, very crucial. So yeah.
Great. Thanks, Upasana, for that. There's one more question from Mr. Dabawala. I think it's best that we discuss one-on-one. But Mr. Dabawala, broadly, Marangoni is doing a very good job globally. It is ranked in the top 100 universities in the world. And they've set shop in, I think, Worli, Lower Parel, Worli, around that area. And you might want to visit and check with them what's happening over there. There are a lot of universities from Europe who are setting up shop in India. There's Ecole Institute, which has come in, and the names grow up. If you want to look at it with a legacy name, then there is BITS Pilani's BITS Design School, which has come up in Kalyan, which is Mumbai. And then, of course, a list of lot of private universities which are doing a very good job. So we could discuss it separately, basis your child's aptitude, interest, personality, orientation, emotional quotient, ability to prepare. Are we looking at a design side of things, the visual comm side of things, architecture side of things, or is it something else? So there needs to be a detailed conversation around this. But broadly speaking, Marangoni is doing some good work in the space as an international institute in the country. Right.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Isn't that institute more on fashion side, or is it doing even?
Yeah. Any other questions? Any other parents have over here? Anything you would want to ask? Nobody has any questions here? Okay. So, Upasana, there are certain students who come with asking that I don't like physics, chemistry, I don't want to study them. Maths is something I can handle. So I believe planning is something that can go in that direction with maths, right? Architecture will require physics, chemistry, and math in the 12th, but planning programs don't require one to have physics, chemistry. And they can move towards a lot of careers in urban planning and geospatial planning and a lot of other areas.
Correct. But of course, to get into the school, I guess PCM is required. But otherwise, in actuality, chemistry is the least. It never comes in the picture. But physics,
Right.
yes, you got to know physics, because you are designing for air, water, wind. So physics is crucial for sure.
Cool. Can you share with us any big project or the biggest project that you worked on and your experience around that? Anything that's
So one of the biggest project that I worked on was when I was working at Caesar Pelli in New Haven, Connecticut, in the US. It's an architectural firm. The architect is who's designed Petronas towers. He's the one who's designed that. So he specializes in high rises. And we were a team of only 7 architects from New York, and we were doing a project in China, Pudong, Shanghai. We worked on that project just making drawings, not even starting the construction, just making drawings for 2 years. And that is the level of drawings that are prepared in architecture, which is a little not the case in our country, which I struggle with. It's okay, but so, and the tower, that it was a mixed use building where we had 2 financial towers, each one with 290 meters height. One of the highest towers at that time in Pudong. This is, I'm talking in 2007, 2008. We had a W hotel and an entire retail mall. So that is when the mixed use concept had, otherwise, previously in urban planning, you would have standalone buildings. But this was one project where it was for beginnings of the mixed use, which we see now. Like, for example, what Oberoi has done in Goregaon, right? You have offices, you have retail, you have a hotel. So that what has happened now in India is what I had worked on like 10, 12 years ago. So that was my biggest project. The project was so intense that in a week we used to work 100 hours. L&T is talking about working 70 hours, and we had a hoo-ha in we have timelines where we have worked for 100 hours, and it was something else. You would wake up you would work till 4 o'clock in the night in New York, and then at 7 in the morning you're catching flight to go to Shanghai, and you're attending a meeting for a week. So it was that intense. But yeah, my biggest project was that. I would also like to talk about the smallest project, which is 150 square feet bedroom in Mumbai. So that is also a great, amazing experience.
Okay, wonderful. Great. Parents, any other questions anybody would like to ask here from Upasana? Anything else you would want to know? Best institute for Nata in Mumbai. Let's connect and discuss it personally. I think these are data points that we could discuss separately. Upasana can be, really asked questions, anything deeper, experiential level questions you would want to ask as a parent of a budding architect or a parent of a would-be architect later on, or even if you're considering anything in architecture, anything under the sun you would want to ask. Anyone else? So I guess not too many questions here, Upasana. So why don't you tell us, I think we're at the end of the session as it is. We have another 6-7 minutes left. Why don't you share about the kind of work that you do? I've already introduced all the things about you, but what are the kind of things you do, and probably get some clients from this meeting? Yeah.
So currently, I'll talk about the current projects that I'm working on, which I'm very because so the scale is different. You not ask me, like, from architecture when you come to a city like Mumbai, you start getting more and more interior projects. So that was a huge transition for us, because you're from a large scale of your towers to coming down to a very interior, which is itself in a niche. It's So one thing I would like to point out is, as an architect, you can easily become a product designer. You can easily become an interior designer. You can choose into that stream. So that was the transition that happened for me. And today I am really proud that I'm working actually in IIT. We are doing research and a facility lab for some of the top companies. And that is how, so that's why when somebody keeps saying art is, of course, you need to have the aesthetics for it. But architecture is far more technical than that. And now what is happening is, people from all over the world, IIT has built a research and lab, and some of the top companies are coming and opening up their research and lab. So we are doing really 50,000, 1 lakh square feet of research and lab projects in IIT. So that is the current exciting project that we are working on.
Right. Super. Yeah, Mr. Binisha has a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Upasana, in today's scenario,
Ms. Binisha.
that's fine. In today's scenario, like the kids who are going to start their architectural journey, do you feel that the masters in any of these segregated field is important? or only architecture is okay with them?
Only architecture is okay, but then work experience should be strong. Instead of going to I would say instead of going to a large corporate firms, if they can start working in a smaller firm. So with that, what will happen is, especially in the specific interest they have. So for example, they've done architecture, but they're interested in interior design. So if they go and work in a smaller firm, they'll get better experience, and they will be able to push in that direction faster, rather instead of doing a master's in architecture or master in interior design or whatever specific subject they're interested in. So no, I don't think master's is required, but at the end of the day, higher education is always a plus. Having said that, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that. Yes, Anshul, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. My question was that when these kids, they finish their school, architecture school, and then they're out in the market, how do these companies evaluate them?
Mostly on their skill set, because the kind of softwares that they have, and then their portfolio, the kind of portfolio that they have done during the college. So that is the actual, at least for the beginners, yeah, that's how they will be evaluated.
And against the vacancies, how many applications do you get?
Against the vacancy, how many applications do we get? Good question. Quite a lot, actually. Quite a lot. Yeah, I think 10 years ago it was not the case. When I started, the number of people were limited, but today we get quite a lot of resumes, and from all over the country we get resumes now. Previously, that we knew specific region. You had these Mumbai, Calcutta, Bangalore, but now we are getting resumes from really very, very small towns and 2-tier and 3-tier cities of India.
And my last question is that, do you also get a free hand, as a professional, or you also that a lot of, your work is really dependent on the approvals and all, from these government officials who have no clue about architecture?
If you're talking of Bombay's real estate, yes, that is the case. You have to work hand in hand with the DP, the norms and the laws. But no, you do get a free hand. It's like you have to understand the math, right? If you understand that, you understand the aesthetics, you do get a free hand. It's not that you have to. There are norms. Any country, there are certain norms that you have to follow to do the building, to do the architecture. So as long as you're following that.
Sure. Yeah.
Upasana, you muted. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Rahul.
Yeah, thanks. Any other questions? Any other parents have, or any other students have? Vani, anything from you you'd want to ask Upasana? No? Okay. All right. So I think we're at the end of the session. Thank you, Upasana, for sparing a Sunday for us and coming over here, providing us the insights and the inputs on various aspects. Thank you, parents, for joining in. And anything we would want to discuss on the career front, on any other areas, feel free to touch base. I'll just share Upasana's handle in the Google Meet chat box. You can pick it up from there, should you want to connect with her directly on various things. So, Upasana, do you have your LinkedIn handle?
Yes, I do.
Can you share it in the Google Meet chat box, please? Also, your Insta handle and your website, if you just can punch it in.
Can you do it?
I'll pick it up. Okay,
Yeah,
just hold on.
yeah.
Just hold on. Just a sec, parents. I'll just share the links with you. So this is Upasana's LinkedIn handle. And these are her Insta and website credentials here. Great, Upasana. Thank you for coming over. Hopefully, parents have got some clarity, some insights, some ideas about how architecture as a profession works and what are the things that their child can look forward to. And we'll have more sessions coming in. Next week, we'll have a liberal arts university hopefully coming in and we can ask a lot of questions with them. And we'll have Upasana back sometime later in 2025 with more questions from workers. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.